Good morning. Welcome to MSME Matters. Today we have with us Nanjunda Pratap Palecanda, who is a serial entrepreneur who has been in entrepreneurship space for quite a long time. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to discuss his entrepreneurial journey and what he sees to be a very valuable area in the future. And that's about it. So without further ado, Nanjunda, all yours. So can you just briefly describe your journeys thus far?
I became an entrepreneur for the first time in '96. So I just got started doing something, and which led to I started as a consultant. That's how we always start.
Yes.
And that consulting led to customer asking me for more customized application development for them. So I started putting up a team, and before even I realized I had a business. Those days, startup was not the thing.
Yeah.
So it just grew organically. But when it grew, then I was more into internet, and I started getting more excited about internet. And there was a time I used to own more than 400 domains. So I created a lot of space, and there were two lines of business that I very in a focused effort I built it. I even sold my application development business, so that also gave me some cushion and a lot of money for that day.
Yeah.
So and then I went after focusing on Kannada.com. So it did well. We did a lot of fun things there those days, and 83 to 87% of my audience were typically outside of India. So that was the time I was experimenting with without having my own sales force, but working with business associates, as I called it. So they would go and sell, and they are my partners. So I didn't have my in-house sales effort. So that was some start of trying to work in a distributed manner. And I thought it makes sense because they are my equals. I don't have to pay them. They're not my employees. Somehow there was always a bug that it's not good to have more employees, but good to work with more entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Parallelly, I started working on something called Essentials. And at that point of time, Essentials.com was an e-commerce platform where the origin of Essentials goes back to, if you recall, around 2000, there was a lot of noise about the end of mom and pop stores, as we know, or the corner stores or kirana wallas.
Yes.
Because that was the dawn of Big Bazaar, Food World. Whole lot of these guys were coming, and the era of supermarket, and we will no longer have these small shops.
Yeah.
So that was the conversation, and that was the time I started thinking that, of course, it did provide us a lot of convenience, right? That was the time we actually started dressing up to go and buy grocery.
Very true.
Because otherwise we would just go, whatever we have, go across and get something from
correct.
the nearby store.
Correct.
So that fancy thing was there, but then I started thinking that I need to do something where I power these small stores so that they don't go out of business. So that is where I created Essentials.com. So at that point of time, if you remember, Amazon.com was selling only books.
Yeah.
So when I started doing this, people started saying that it's foolish, usual thing. Also, to an extent, it is logical because, even my Kannada.com experience had taught me that internet penetration was very low. We were still in those dial-up, that dial and before it connects.
Yeah. Now it's a ringtone these days.
Yeah. So so it was, logically, it was not the right thing to do for me to be going after that market because we just didn't have enough internet users. But somehow I thought things are growing fast. You know how fast we had come from 13.3 kbps to, I think it had gone to 36.6 kbps.
Yeah.
So it was almost 3 times that, right?
Yes.
And it had happened within this 2.5 years.
Yes. Yeah.
So I was trying to tell them that the speed of internet is growing almost 100% in about 8-9 months.
Yeah.
So that was my logic for my business. saying that, see, at this rate, internet connectivity is growing faster and internet user base is also increasing.
Yeah.
So, and by then I will be well set.
Yeah.
That was my argument, and I went about doing it. So what I did was that I would go to these small shops. I had to create a list of all the products that they sell. In fact, I remember it took me about 6 months. 6 months to onboard 3 shops. It was a one-man show. I would go and actually with a that writing board, you remember?
Yeah.
So with paper and so usually write down everything and then mark how they keep a stock and what is the periodicity, all those things. So basically I started creating a catalog for them.
Yeah.
And they were also not sure why I am doing it, because they would not understand internet.
Yeah.
They would not understand, I'll get you the order. But that's how I got started, and it was fun for me to be building that up. But I went about creating a network of these people. I also had delivery network partners. I created a model where cash on delivery, because that was the only way I could actually go about doing it.
Yeah.
I was also audacious enough to tell people that I will teach Jeff Bezos how to do e-commerce, because he's not
That's
selling
nice.
books.
That's nice.
Yeah, because I was talking about selling everything, right?
Yes,
So today it seems foolish, but those are fun days. And unfortunately, then I hit a .com bust.
Yeah.
And when I had people interested in putting in money, I had money, so I didn't want to take anybody's money.
Yeah.
And I was also pretty much alone. I had a friend with me earlier. Some problem it had led to, so I had asked him to go out, and I was on a distress mode also to an extent.
Okay.
So I was all alone, and also not talk much about it, because at home, even if you have 25-30 employees, your parents would still say, my son is doing something, because you know, I'm not working for a big company that they could be proud of telling someone.
Yeah.
So it was not a matter of pride. I'm paying salary to somebody, because they always thought small business doesn't matter. So there is always the small business. I think we as middle class people also are largely responsible for the pathetic situation of small business to such a great extent, right? Even today, it's so hard to attract. I'm working on my startup, right? So difficult to attract good talent with a promise that we can build it big.
Yeah.
Right? People always still look up for something large, no matter how unstable it is. The large gives them a perception that it is stable.
Yeah.
So that was the journey which bombed, and we just got a next best opportunity to restart at it. So that's where going back into it.
Yeah. So isn't it interesting, Nanjunda? Now, I mean, see, for viewers, I know what he's working on now. So I'm just sort of preempting that. And when I say what you started then is relevant today, Nanjunda, right?
Yeah.
Even more relevant today. And in a way, I mean, what you're doing, what you did then, and what you are doing, planning to do now, or what we are trying to sort of create here, it's not vastly different, because the human needs are the same, the demand is the same, and today the internet is, I mean, you said 100 times a year, it has grown exponentially. The smartphones have grown exponentially. Suddenly you find yourself doing exactly the same thing. So I think and then this is where the challenge comes in. See, for MSMEs as such, I mean, allow me to say this. When you start, people look at you and say, hey, this guy is going berserk, man. He doesn't know what he is doing. And then 20 years later or 15 years later, you're doing this, interesting. So where do you see that? I mean, you mentioned the middle class. We are all from the same section of society. So we understand how our families react to us.
Right.
What do you have to say for that? I mean,
to one extent, things have really changed, right? Like I told you, my parents' reaction then.
Yeah.
You talk to some friends, they have a. Thank you. I just got my coffee as well.
Yeah, that's fine.
Today, you talk to a friend whose son or daughter is still a college student, but sitting at home, they're coming up with or working on some app. They actually like to say, my son or daughter is an entrepreneur.
Yes.
And there is so much of sense of pride in that. So I think that's a huge shift, right? That people actually regard this. Of course, we never called ourselves entrepreneurs then because what are you doing? I'm doing business. So
Yeah,
that was the lingo then, right?
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So, but I'm more optimistic. Uh, I see obviously there are a lot more people trying to do so many more things today. And already, a lot of hyperlocal efforts have already happened.
Yes, yes,
Only reason why I can still think of coming back and doing it now is that because most of these people who have been in business, who currently, some of them even shut shop. Some
yeah,
big names even tried doing shut shop. And so what I see is that this has become, they have gone about doing it in a very capital heavy manner.
yeah, yeah.
And another reason why I think they some failed and some biggest players will also fail, because they are still looking at it in a pyramid sense,
Yes,
right? They want to come across as somebody who are enabling MSMEs,
yes,
but it is very evident and obvious that they are only trying to put a net to
yes. Capture all of it.
control them.
Yeah.
So that is the unfortunate part, right? So as long as people want to own and control, even a marriage doesn't stay
Yeah,
healthy.
I know.
Right? So how will you be
Business.
able to own and control entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah.
They are going to kill these businesses. So that's the biggest effort happening, and that is where I'm more optimistic today that some of the efforts, you are also involved in that. So some of these efforts will thrive because we are not trying to control. We are
Yeah.
trying to work together and we are trying to grow together. So
Yes.
I think that is what is going to change the ecosystem in a more sustainable way.
So
So
yeah.
I don't think I will get to a point of shutting down for sure this time. Uh, I don't think it'll get to that for sure.
Yes, I'm sure about it, Nanjunda. To be honest, because as you were speaking, one thought that came to my mind, I'll share now. We have all heard of this phrase in English which says "live and let live," right? So
Correct.
what if we just change it and say "grow and let grow"? Just
Interesting.
grow and let grow. So you remember the pyramid you talked about. See,
Yeah.
pyramid, usually what happens? It goes up, it stays there, and it broadens like that. What are we
Yeah.
saying? I mean, let that happen. Let it not be like this always. So let it broaden. Let it.
My suggestion is, see, problem is even if it broadens,
Yeah.
right, we will only have more people at the bottom.
Bottom. Yes.
So why don't we, instead of this, why don't
Make
it becomes
yeah,
concentric,
this.
right?
Yes.
So that way, if you are concentric circles, then we are able to create more for everybody.
Yes.
And see, today, this effort of going and creating a territory or a potential future home in Mars looks like a joke, right,
Yeah.
for many people.
Yeah.
But it can potentially be a possibility, because if we actually create healthy ecosystem where everybody thrive, then that becomes a natural extension, right?
Correct. Very true.
So it will no longer be one man's foolish dream or few billionaires joyride, right?
Yes.
It's going to be a reality because it's going to be necessity.
Yes. Yeah, and
So,
it also maps with that national perspective that we seem to be having now of being self-reliant. See, what does self-reliance mean? In my mind, at least it means I'm reliant on myself, and through my reliance on myself, I can actually support a community also.
correct.
A community, a city, a state, a country. It can just go beyond. So I think that is the beauty of this experiment. I think this is a social enterprise. I mean, when we talk social enterprise, everyone tends to see this as a support service, which is not the case. Which is why I said grow and let grow. I mean, you are growing also all the time.
Right.
As your concentric circles grow, you are also growing. You're giving the same service to more people. You're bringing more people into the ambit. You're not only bringing the sellers into the ambit and the buyers, you're probably also bringing the producers into the ambit.
Correct.
Right. So that is where I think the hyperlocal thing, I mean, which is what is amazing and astounding and surprising. And the fact that you're stuck with it makes me, feel this is something special. Is you thought of it when nobody else was thinking about it. For me, that is amazing because, like you said, shopkeepers didn't know internet. Your prospective buyers didn't know the ease of how you are sort of how that process will make for them. And yet you have this one man army moving around and saying, okay, let me do this, man. I hats off to you.
No, it very honestly, it doesn't sound foolish for me even for that point of time. I think I just had to stay on.
Yes,
It
it
was,
happens.
but it was such a negative mood, right? People are driven by these headlines,
Yes, yes.
right? End of .com.
Yeah,
I tried telling them that this is serious business. This
yeah,
is not a bubble. This is not something where it'll shut down.
yes.
uh, you can't talk to investor community which is driven by mostly finance guys who are fundamentally risk averse,
Ever, yeah.
and I think they're completely blind to the future.
Yes. Yeah, very true. Very
Right?
true.
They're risk averse and blind to the future.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with such people when you have to show them vision? I mean, they're blind. How do you show vision to the blind?
So it's a bit like this, Nanjunda. You brought in a beautiful point. I actually was interviewing somebody else. I mean, all of this will appear. You can watch it. So he has been like his journey has also been. He's much older than me and you. His journey has been that of a consultant, and he still is. And he actually helps companies. So his point was beautiful. He said, you know what? By the time you are explaining something, they have already made up their mind, right? So it's like I know I have the answer. No, you don't. Let me complete. I'm saying something here. See, you mentioned, even in that conversation, you mentioned that when you started, we were talking about these big stores which said that the mom and pop kirana stores will shut down. Did it really happen? Some of them did shut down, but that's because there were one too many in the area. For example, I shifted into my current locality in Bangalore in 2004 or 5. There was hardly any shop here. Then one provision store came up. Then suddenly two streets across, they said, this guy is making money. Let me start one more. So they divided their, that's how the business works, right? I mean, it's not as if instead of a provision store, if he had started something else, he would have probably done better.
They coexisted there, right?
Yes, it would have coexisted. So now if I'm following the same business model as my neighbor with a minor difference to the business model, it's not surviving. And now think of what the VCs do in India.
Yeah.
See, look at the correlation. They are only looking at you. Go to them with a new idea. The first reaction is, who has done this before? Arey, hello, Baba. Nobody has done that. So I am doing. No. Where can I see this before? Where can I see a similar model? No, you can't. It came in my head.
Correct. No, right. But it looked very, very logical, right? I mean, this is the way it's going forward. I mean, the other day I got a WhatsApp message. You must have also seen it, right? Some person in US who was making a speech in 1950s or 60s.
Yeah.
Saying that there'll come a time when phone will no longer be wired to the wall.
Yeah.
People will carry about and perhaps even talk face to face using a phone, which they will carry in their pockets. I mean, he was just envisioning it.
Yes.
And that is a damn reality today.
Yes. See, that's the point. See, now when this, like you said, I mean, it's the fact is that you stuck around with it, and today, so many years later, we are all involved in something which we are sure, I'm sure, at least from my side, that look, this is the future. Because because it's going to come to a stage where we won't have enough jobs, we won't have enough white collar or jobs, like you said, right? That ready-made job market that is that.
You remember in the other day's call and pivot labs where Anup only was giving out some stats.
Yes.
36.5% unemployed.
Yes.
I mean, 36.5%. In any other country, there will be.
Right.
People will be paying fire to everything on screen.
Yeah, true.
Right? It's only in India, I think some more things are, the Jugaad is managing.
No, this is like that, even Nasuddin Shah movie, Wednesday, where he says, we are not resilient by choice, we are resilient by force. We just sort of adjust to things and kindly adjust, Muddy. I mean, we all know that, right?
Right. Yeah. No, but unless we start working on this model of creating more entrepreneurs, the day is not far that we will also see India collapse. Because if people are not able to find a respectful way of earning their food and having a decent livelihood, we are in for trouble. So we just need to do things. And the best as we as entrepreneurs can do is work and help with more entrepreneurs.
Exactly.
Let government do whatever they do. We do our business.
Yes. See, my point is that, see, when, I keep saying this, I was saying this many times. When Modi came to power in 2014 and he started Swachh Bharat, he put up Mahatma Gandhi's picture and all. There were people who were active, there were people who were completely inactive, and there were people, a third set of people who were just looking, hey, what is this? So my point was this: look, when he started this, he's not going to come and clean your place. Your local corporator is not going to come and clean your place. You need to keep the damn place clean. And you saw that, that interesting story, right? In Coorg it happened. I'm sure you would have seen that. Somebody had to travel 80 kilometers, pick up their pizza bags and dump it, right? I think that is what has happened. So, see, that is a symbolic gesture. Making salt by Mahatma Gandhi also was a symbolic gesture. The point is, what do you learn from there?
Correct.
See, I'm politically agnostic. I'll prefer staying there. But the point is, do people understand what a symbol means?
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
I think that is important here. I think that is where this entire story comes. Government is there, administration is there. If we create a sort of a good base out there, we can actually go and stand up and demand certain things from the government and say, guys, open your eyes. This is what is happening here. So I feel that is see now with like you mentioned, Anup, one of the things that we are talking about is how can you actually even spread the financial model across that platform, right? Microfinance is something you have seen successfully happening across the world.
Well, even there, I have some thoughts. I think it could have done extremely well. But unfortunately, what happened, even those microfinance organizations start working like pyramids.
Yes.
So that is where things start. See, any effort at a large scale has to go in a concentric circle approach, right?
Yes.
It has to be circles. It has to be distributed. As long as you try to centralize and control it, it's very, very difficult to make it a system. You will have proof of concepts, right? That's what they successfully created. But it was not scalable to an extent that is necessary because it is again top-down controlled. And also what happened is that everybody who worked there, I'm a manager, right? I have an authority to decide whether this person deserves funding or not. The moment you bring people in charge of things, and thing is, for me, it's not my money.
Yes.
I control somebody else's money.
Yes.
So that is another big factor, right? So as long as we detach that, and the community and the rest of us are not bothered about it because that effort is not happening out of our contribution. There is no involvement by us.
Yeah.
It's done by them. They raise fund from somebody else and somebody else manages. And whatever percentage they take, maybe they take less percentage for managing the fund instead of a for-profit initiative or an equity initiative or such, or even a debt-based funding. But irrespective, it all comes down to people without that sense of commitment and ownership. And most importantly, majority of us who are directly and indirectly affected are indifferent to it because we have no skin in the game.
Yes.
Right?
That's true.
That microfinance is working with the maid who comes or a slum nearby to us. We are totally indifferent because we are not part of the stakeholders there.
Yes.
So that's where I find this whole microfinance game was set to lose.
You're right. See, if you look at wherever it has made some success, you had concentric circles. You're right. You had circles in the game. Bangladesh was an example. There were circles. It was not a typical pyramid.
But all the issue that happened was also because there was still a pyramid on top.
Yes. Yeah, that pyramid is what defined. You're right. I couldn't agree with you more. So somewhere we are actually questioning the basic philosophy of creating a pyramid anywhere. The Egyptians created it then, but then those were fine.
No, not those fine because they did it for people who are dead.
Yeah, you said it. Yeah, I don't think pyramids and people who are alive go together. I think.
Yeah, it don't.
Yeah, they don't.
But you borrow something from the dead and use it for the living.
Yeah, I think that's a nice point to close this conversation, because I think this says it all. I think the circle represents continuity in life.
Right.
Pyramid represents, like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So great, Nanjunda. That was nice talking to you. I'll come back to you for more, because I see that there is a storehouse of interesting information and inputs, which I think all companies who are actually, or all individuals who are planning to turn entrepreneurs, there is a lesson out there not to give up, because if you believe in yourself, I think the future will believe in you. That is what I'm seeing here, because what Nanjunda started several years ago is actually fructifying today. It took a COVID to do that. We didn't want COVID in the middle, but then, yeah, but it took a COVID to make us realize that, you know what, this is the only way to progress and carry things forward. Thank you for sparing your time, Nanjunda. It was a privilege talking to you. I just really enjoyed it. We'll like I said, we'll keep coming back for more.
Oh, I look forward to it.
Thanks a lot, and yeah, for surprisingly the internet behaved so fantastic. Thank you.